YouTube, it's Brian Phillips again here. We got a garbage bag. It was on the doorstep quite a while ago, but we've been busy beavers. This is, I know what this thing is. Oh yeah, buddy, this thing looks awesome. Okay, now I'm just gonna let you guys know, yeah, garbage bag is empty. This thing is gonna be so much fun because obviously we've had a few planes. It's like a whole new family. So, as you know, we reviewed the mini Trainstar. This is the micro Trainstar. This is 3-channel. I don't know how many channels this is, but we're gonna find out, and it's gonna be awesome. And then if you want a little more action, of course, you can look at the Sport Cub 500, Volantex, and also Volantex. Been very impressed with these little things. I can't believe how well they've performed. I've got a 9-year-old kid who's been flying these and just having a really good time. So, without further ado, we're gonna unbox this thing. I don't suspect the unboxing is gonna be really a big deal, but mostly a big part of this is when you get something small and delicate, you wanna make sure the box isn't broken. So, obviously the unboxing is not the most exciting part of a video, if you ask me, especially one that's boxed in a garbage bag. Just gonna unfold this. It's got a sturdy foam frame inside of it. Okay. As you can see, it is a dainty little creature. Very cool. That is very neat. Packaging is getting better. It's got a lot of give on it. And then beyond that, look at this little thing. Just look how small it is. I'm so excited. One of my first planes that I ever flew was the Inum, not the Inum Elite. I have the Inum Elite too, and it sucks. I mean, it does what it's supposed to do, but it sucks.
Yeah.
So this thing is extremely light. Look at these landing gear, guys. We are going to put this on the scale in a few minutes. On the back side, you can get to your transmitter. I know you guys are gonna ask me what protocol this is. This is an overhaul to 2.4 gigahertz. Used to be an infrared transmission and receiver, which sucked because when you got out of view, it would lose control. So this is 2.4 gigahertz, which is why you see the antenna right here. So now for size comparison, folks, after you're done looking at my wonderful antenna, this is micro, this is mini. Look at the difference in size, guys. It's not even as wide as one of the wings, which is really awesome. Look at that. The wing is about twice the surface area as the horizontal stabilizer. I cannot wait to see that thing fly. Now, we did not have success flying this inside of the living room, but like I said, you could probably camber the wing. You could put in a fixed flap. It'd do that fairly easy on this thing, but the pitch of the propeller is such that it moves too fast. These little dinky things are gonna move slow. So without further ado, we're gonna get out the scale and we are gonna look at this thing and it's gonna be awesome. All right, guys, so we're back. We've got the scale out. We're going to get this out of the way right now. This has an integral battery. Unfortunately, it uses the micro pH connector, which is not my favorite style of connector, but how do you do it any other way? You're not gonna use a low C connector on this. So we're looking at 9 grams with a landing gear. Amazing. Very, very light. Very weak landing gear, but who cares? The landing gear are probably not gonna be that critical. Just to show you on the mini Trainstar, you're looking at 36 grams without the battery. So very light also. And then the Sport Cub, I'll just read it out. The Sport Cub is, oh, the tail's hitting. Gotta try to flip it over. There we go. We're looking about 48 grams. So surprisingly light aircraft. Didn't talk about the user's manual. It's actually a pretty big user's manual for such a small plane. It's in some other language, Chinese, presumably. And it talks about everything in English and Chinese, which is nice. So it tries to give you an idea of how to do things, and it's got like all these numbers and arrows and things. And so we're gonna stick the batteries in now that we've wasted that time. Flat side goes toward the spring. The bump side goes toward the smaller bump. Only thing I don't like about this style of plane is they sort of expect you to charge on the transmitter, which I mean, I might do that for today, but what a pain in the butt. Either way, so you can pull this cord out, right? And then you hook it up here. Now, you see how this only mates up one direction. So there's a key on this side, and then on this side, there's a void or two little slots. I usually try to line up the key, and then this is gonna stick into the hole. Oh yeah, buddy. And then I think you have to turn this on, and it's gonna start flashing. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna charge the battery on the aircraft. Now, I don't know what the battery charge is at now, so we might have to let this go for a few minutes. So what I'm gonna do is we'll go ahead and pause and get things cleaned up, and we'll come back in like 5 minutes or so. All right, guys, so in my vast amounts of patience reserves, I waited for like 3.5 minutes. And I wanna show you how this works. Okay, so this green light goes on when you're charging, and then this thing flashes. And there's a power switch on here, so I'll unplug this. Okay, so we're unplugging it. You'll notice the light goes out immediately, which is good. And then right here, there's a little power switch, okay? So you have to flip that. Make sure your throttle's down, all the way down. That's throttle. Turn it on, put it up right on its landing gear. My landing gear are kind of crappy, so I'm actually not really interested in that, but I'm gonna try to do at least one takeoff from landing gear. Then this thing can get tucked back in here, just like this, super easy. Actually works pretty good.
And then as soon as you plugged it or turned it on, the red light stopped flashing.
The red light stops flashing. Yeah. That means it's trying to go through the binding process. So, differential thrust, as you can see, a pretty fair amount of differential thrust too. The only thing I'm not crazy about is look how close to the inboard portion of the wing that's on. I mean, you could create so much more leverage if it was out here, so we'll see if it works. Now, keep in mind, you have no elevator, because there's no elevator. So you only have throttle and differential thrust. So when you fly, throttle is gonna lift you, and then when you let go, it's gonna relax down and then lift you. It's gonna be fast, so I just know what to expect, and I'm hopeful. There's about half throttle and immediate crash. So my camera crew is gonna do her very best to capture this in a way that isn't infuriating to watch.
I'll try.
The other thing is, I'm gonna take the landing gear off because it doesn't really add anything to this plane. And just so you guys can see, mine pulled out the mount. So that would take some mucilage to hold it in our CA. It's not really a big deal, but I just want you guys to see that that happened. Okay, throttle about 25% and just give it a toss. So when you give it yaw input to yaw the craft, it's kind of like a suggestion, okay? So I used to do this with the Anim, and the kids just got a real kick out of it, is I'd walk around like this, and we would screw around. Whoa! Almost went in the disposal. Basically, we would put it in what we would call an autopilot, and there's nothing autopilot about it. This does not have auto leveling at all. It just happens to be a very stable flyer because of the dihedral. Of course, these angles are dihedral, and you literally have to bend this stuff to change the direction it's going. You'll notice that my plane is forced over to the side. So if I want this to fly straighter, then I would have to straighten that. Now, word of warning, it doesn't really work well. So what you're gonna have to do is you'll probably have to take and bend it a little bit here. There's a seam, and you're gonna have to bend it a little bit if you wanna try to do that, because this frame just doesn't seem like it really wants to let you bend it much. I believe that's because they have a piece of plastic or carbon fiber in here that's got a little L shape to it. So let's keep flying. It flies a lot faster than I was hoping for. And the differential thrust is touchy. I mean, I'm using like the bottom 3% of the stick position. See? And that's what you gotta watch for, is that was about 50% throttle, and you saw how fast it got to going. So my hope is I want to demonstrate how fast I can fly it without being completely out of control. And I mean, I'm under no illusions. This is a pretty decent sized room. We have 16-foot ceilings at the very top, but that's just at the peak. Oh, don't you dare go up there! So, my point is, when you get this thing, you're gonna think, wow, that thing's gonna fly super slow. And you're probably gonna be a little bit disappointed in that sense, but it is still really fun. By the way, the Inum, I could fly that thing around here with some level of control, but I'd still crash about 50 times every time I would fly. So, this thing does fly. It feels like throwing a paper airplane. Okay, that didn't work so good. It actually went to the prison light. All right, we're gonna see if I can take off without the landing gear. Let's see if this works. Nope, not really. So what I guess I would say is when you go to make your adjustments, keep in mind this plane is gonna move pretty quick. So whatever adjustments you make, okay, maybe you'll have better luck by creating a little extra drag by changing the shape of the wing a little bit, and you can see how forgiving this material is. Trouble is when you deal with this forgiving material like this, you're gonna end up running into a situation eventually where it wants to just break apart totally. Because you can see it's, you know, these cells, as they squish these balls of foam, and they adhere under heat and pressure, that's how they mold the stuff, you'll eventually run out of that flexibility, and then you'll just rip it apart. Oh, by the way, it came with extra 2 props. I really want to slow it down a lot. Okay, now it's an ornament. So you'll notice it's going way to the left, and to the left is a good thing, but my room is big enough that I could go about maybe a rate of half of that. So let's see if we can get it to turn. So obviously right now it's going like this. So the dihedral is forcing it over. There is actually some trim on here. So you see this? That says ST trim. So I'm not sure if it's doing anything. We'll find out. Before we continue bending, well, we're gonna do a little bit of bending too. Yeah, there's definitely something in there. Let's show the people at home. You can't see it because you know why? They wisely molded it in and it almost looks like a decoration.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, you see it now, camera crew? It's a carbon fiber strip right there. Can't see it on this side though. So I'm not sure exactly how much you're gonna be able to bend it here, but I'm gonna try. That's the wrong way. We wanna bend back the other way. In my case, you guys may need to do it the other way. The other thing is you could change the angle of this motor mount. All right, here we go. It is very light, so I just wish there was more between 0 and running. Okay, we'll try again. And the differential thrust, it's strong, but it's almost not quite where you need it and when you need it. So this is definitely going to be one of those planes where once you get it, you'll get it good. Definitely not easy to fly. Definitely not something that you want to get for your first time flyer. They will be very frustrated and they'll be discouraged. Get this, fly when it's calm and you will enjoy your experience twice as much. But if you have a more skilled pilot, somebody who's been doing it for a while, this is fun. It's just definitely not easy. When I say easy to fly, it definitely flies. Don't get me wrong, it is flying in here. But it's just not controlled flight. It's like when you were a kid, well, if you're my age and you were a kid, you would have probably had one of these things that I had, which was an airplane that would actually stick onto the ceiling fan. And there was a string that came off of it. And it was the coolest thing ever. And it would just go around in a circle. And you thought, wow, that's amazing. What if I could control that thing? Well, this is kind of it. Except at least the one I got when I was a kid looked like I don't know, like an A7 or something cool like that.
So if you had a kid that was gonna fly it like in a gym or something,
yeah,
would that maybe be okay?
A bigger space would absolutely improve the circumstances.
But you're not gonna fly that thing outside, probably, are
Well, you
you?
can fly outside in dead calm, but just keep in mind you're going to have very limited range. It's not a
Yes.
full spectrum radio system, but it
Yeah.
is 2.4 gigahertz, so you're not looking at line of sight. They did design this to originally receive that transmitter with the RF link. So what I think we're going to do next is we are going to get a little bit creative with some tape. Coming right back. Scissors, regular tape. This is actually pretty high quality tape, but it's just office style tape.
Yeah.
It's clear, so it makes it a little bit hard to show on video. But what we need on this plane is we need more resistance in airflow or drag, and that is going to help slow the plane down, similar to a streamer. We're gonna try that first because it's the easiest thing for me to show you how to do. Many of you are screaming, no, put flaps and LEDs, and I'm thinking to myself, no, not on this plane. You see what I did there, guys? I just stuck it on the back, and I'm just gonna kind of try to very carefully get it square. See what I did there? Just to create a little bit of drag. Let's see if that's enough. Remember, sticky notes are usually my go-to on stuff like this because they'll release better, but sticky notes are heavy. Oh, baby, look at that. That made a huge improvement. I can't believe how good it actually improved it. And immediately behind the TV. So actually, that was enough drag to slow it down though. Now I feel like you need more thrust to fly. So that gets you into the range where you can actually use your differential thrust to navigate. You can definitely run into stuff, which is cool, but you'll notice I just did a figure 8, sort of.
Sort of.
I think I need some trim now. Okay, so the other thing I'm noticing is that the plane is most definitely very resilient to damage, much better than the Inim ever was. It was like a paper plate, or excuse me, a styrofoam plate. Come over here, camera crew. So this would be an air brake. So we're gonna stick that on there, which, I mean, it's completely inefficient. There's better ways to make this plane fly slow, but it's the easiest way to do right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna not go totally crazy, because every time we do this, you'll be amazed how quick you're gonna weigh down this plane. Weight would be the enemy for sure, but maybe in our application, what we can do is we can go out here to the wingtips and we can do another brake. So you need your piece to be long enough to come back here and double back onto the wing surface, and then watch what I do. It's super easy. You just kiss it down to the middle like that, and then you touch it to collapse that tape. And then you see that right there. So you've got that on one side. Now watch what happens when I fly. It's gonna yaw like crazy. This is the way they turn the B-2 bombers. See, watch it yaw. See, it's actually not yawing as bad as I figured it would, but it's definitely giving me another added layer of speed control, which is really cool. So now we're gonna do the other side, and you've seen me do it, so are we gonna have the people at home watch again, camera crew?
Well, that's pretty quick.
All right, so we're gonna cut it. I want so badly for these little indoor planes to work, because I learned so much about flying from flying that Inim. And I read a lot of reviews and watched a lot of reviews where people just ripped the Inim a new one. And I just thought, whatever, the Inim was awesome. I learned so much about flying. And it was only a little 2-channel thing, okay? So I'm just cinching that down and then cinching this down. Now, again, this is gonna create drag in 3 points, here, here, and here. So we'll see how that goes. I don't feel completely out of control though, which is good.
No, it's getting better.
Oh yeah, it's going straight. Now I don't have enough yaw authority, so we'll see. Maybe we finally got the ticket there. So now I'm gonna have to move the stick over further to turn. Oh, you know what else it could be?
Battery.
I think the battery just died.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll pause it for a moment and we'll come right back. Sorry, I forgot. I never really showed you how to do this once you were already running. So the first thing you'll do is you'll power it down. Again, this is not rocket science stuff, so I just shut it off. And then you can open this little stall here that holds your charging cable. And maybe with these simple modifications, this wouldn't be so bad, but you do have to have a pretty big living room or garage. You know, if you've got your cars, just pull your cars out. This isn't gonna hurt your cars, which is nice. I fear that you're probably going to hurt the plane with your cars. So just a couple things to keep in mind. This would not be the one for your kid, even though it totally seems like the one for your kid. It's a couple bucks cheaper than the Trainstar 3-channel that has a rudder, an elevator, and throttle. Okay, so 3 channels. This one is just, technically it's 2 channels. You've got yaw control / roll control, and then you've got throttle. So that's technically a 2-channel. The Sport Cub 500 though wins the prize for these 3, even though this thing is really cool, and it is cool. I like it a lot. And keep it, guys, I'm not trying to like make stuff up here. I love bigger, better planes. I do. And I have a lot of them. I have like 100 planes. And these things are some of the best planes out there. I can't believe it, but they are. And yes, I have the ones from the company that rhymes with Rise and Bobby, and they're awesome, and they look more scale, and they are more sophisticated, and they fly slightly better. But these are way cheaper, and they don't fly bad. So if you're looking to get into something cheap, this Sport Cub 500 is awesome. Obviously, there's links in the description below. Buy from the links, you help support the channel. It's nothing special. This is YouTube. It's not the first time that's happened. So without further ado, we're gonna pause it. We'll come back in another, what, 5 minutes that will turn into 2.5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, guys. So I forgot to mention they come in blue or they come in red like this. You may see it more like this anyway. So when you order, just pay attention to that. I'm not sure if you can pick or if you just like click and it does whatever you want. But I want to show you this. After a few minutes, what would you call that? Like 10 minutes?
Well, it's been 15.
15 total minutes?
Yeah.
After about 10 minutes, this light stopped flashing and it went to solid. So that must mean that we're at full charge rate. Okay, so the green light goes off, and out of curiosity, we're gonna test that just because you know me, it's gonna be long and boring. So let's test that right now.
What are you testing?
I'm gonna test this, so why don't you pause it? I have to get an adapter.
Okay.
Okay, for those of you who have a micro pH adapter that goes to JST and then from JST back to another barely, you can do this right at home. So these are live, so I do all sorts of dangerous things on this channel to make you guys happy. We're gonna test the voltage on this pack, okay? If it'll test. Oh, come on, test. It might not be a LiPo. It might actually be a capacitor. In which case, it's possible that it won't actually register a voltage. I just assume it was a LiPo in there, but I could be mistaken. So without further ado, we'll pause it and we'll try it on the next go around. But for now, wait, maybe you have to turn it on. Maybe that's why it's not doing anything.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, I've got the power on now. So maybe they've got that electrically isolated when the switch is off, which would make sense because it's supposed to charge. So we'll just plug this in real quick, and then I'll just keep these things from touching, and then we'll come in here with our test unit. Okay, so I'm gonna hold that. This would be better with alligator clips. No, guys, unfortunately. So they must have that somewhat electrically protected. There's probably a diode in the series, so it's not gonna let you do that. That's, all right, well, we tried. The other reason I was excited about that is I thought maybe I could stick a battery into this and run it from an external battery pack. Probably not gonna be able to do that. So without further ado, we are going to fly this now that we have it charged. So as you can see, it's flashing, but it's not, the transmitter's not on. So the normal sequence of events would go something like this. Turn off the plane, turn on your transmitter, make sure the light is flashing, looking for the plane, and then go ahead and turn on your plane, okay? Red light goes solid, meaning that it found it, and then you're ready to rock and roll. So we've got the 3 air brakes now installed. Oh yeah, so much more controllable, folks. Whoa!
There you go.
So the air brakes seem to have helped quite a bit. I still feel like it could slow down a little bit, and then I could get into the throttle, because running the plane on just this bottom of the stick, it's just very difficult. And as you increase your speed, that is hilarious. I'm gonna just keep flying until it takes off again. There it goes. Could you find another obstruction plane? So the other issue is that as you increase your throttle, the differential thrust it doesn't seem to be quite linear in output. So it makes it challenging, but it's fun to fly. It's definitely not extremely hard, but I say things like this and then I'm like, hey, camera crew, try it. And then she says, no way,
No.
Jose. You hit another big plane, stop that. So this plane, I don't want to mark it off as just being almost uncontrollable. But honestly, every indoor plane I've ever had that's designed to function inside has flown like this. So I feel like I'm gonna put some more brakes on these while we're paused. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna see if I can do this a little bit better, and then I'll show you what I came up with. So folks, I think I've got it done to where it's gonna work well. I basically took that tape and I taped along the leading edge. I taped it lengthwise, and then I folded it over on itself and trimmed along the wing tip here. And I did the same thing here. Nothing really ultra precise about it. And then I did 3 brakes on each side, just like what we talked about. And then I did 1 brake on the rudder. This, of all the things I did, was the most effective improvement. This, and then just a few of them on the wingtips. If you want to start there, maybe you could use a little bit thicker tape. You could get a bigger surface area. But I'll just show you how it responds. It's much more subdued now. And you guys can tell, it's not like I'm working hard to fly it now. And basically what you do is you give it throttle to get it through the turns now. And then occasionally you're gonna still hit stuff. But the thing is, as you go flying, oh, of course.
Is that the battery?
Battery just died. But you guys don't realize I've been testing this for the last
That's
15
true.
minutes. So
Yeah.
we'll come right back. So guys, the other thing is I measured it, we rounded to now 10 grams. So with all the modifications. And I'm impressed with the amount of power that you get. We did not go through a full charge sequence. And I'm gonna show you something here. I'll see if I can get it to do a loop. I keep trying to use the elevator that doesn't exist. Sorry guys.
Oh, that was almost a loop.
Because you can actually do a loop, but mostly by accident. And to be honest with you, on a plane like this, it's just a challenge for people that are used to flying bigger planes, and it's very fun. But the thing is, if you get this thing, if you don't have any experience flying, you may find that it's just ultimately frustrating, and that's the no BS review right there. It's fun to fly if you kind of know what you're doing. It's not hard to fly, it's just harder than it looks to fly inside of the house. And it is definitely flying a lot better with these modifications. And it took me, what, like 10 inches of tape and 5 minutes worth of playing around?
Yeah.
And now you guys can just do it. So the reason I like planes like this so much are when you come home on a Friday night and you say, man, I've been working my butt off all week. I really want to fly my Twin Otter or my Carbon Z Cub or whatever it is that you've got in your hangar. And you think, all weekend it's going to be horrible. And then you come home and you say, you know what? I've got that little micro Trainstar. It's going to be fun. I'm going to fly it. And then you fly it and you get the kids out there and it's just super fun and they love it. And to be honest with you, this thing, you could probably crash into the wall like 1,000 times. It's not going to damage anything. I've already ran into our vent range hood. That's probably the most damageable thing in our entire living room.
Still
obviously, it didn't damage it. Of course, now it's going to be cleaned maybe, but we run into the TV, we run into the Christmas tree, run into myself, run into my camera crew. It's just, this thing is not going to hurt anything. And even if you manage to hurt something, it's not going to be significant.
Yeah.
So without further ado, we're going to pause it and fly some more. That's the other thing too. I was just going to warn you guys. This thing doesn't like doing straight lines very well.
No.
So when you did it, 2 words of wisdom. It does like to be charged fully. And secondly, when you induce a bunch of extra drag, it's going to burn through the battery charge a little bit quicker. We did not do a full charge sequence. We were experiencing a solid red light after about 10 to 15 minutes. So that's how long it's going to take to charge this thing and get it ready to fly, which is pretty cool. And just don't forget to turn off your switch. There is a small little status light right here next to this. You can see it right there. There's a hole. And I think it's worth getting. It's really inexpensive. It's good for a rainy day, windy day outside. You're probably not going to take this thing out and fly it. And if you're going to take this thing out and fly it, seriously, save your pennies and get this thing. It's going to be a lot more fun, a lot more robust. I mean, just in terms of what you can do with it and the fun you can have. I mean, we've already crashed this thing like 150 times in the living room, let alone get outside and actually fly it. And then if maybe this one's your price point, this is a really good toy too. It's very fun. Definitely check the link in the description below. We have videos on all 3 of them now. The Sport Cub 500 isn't really part of the series, but it's made by Volantex. It's very similar. And of the 3, which one do I like best, camera crew?
The Sport Cub or the other Trainstar?
The only reason I vote for the Sport Cub over something like this, because here's the thing, guys. I've already experienced planes like this.
Yeah.
The one thing I can say is that this thing takes punishment like crazy.
Is that the one that...
The one that our son flies.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I like the Sport Cub 500, because I had a duet for my kid, and my kid would just get frustrated with it. And I'll be honest with you, you need to be aware of that. If you get this for your kid, there's going to be some frustration. If your kid is a pilot, then they'll figure it out really quick. If you're a pilot, you'll figure it out really quick. Really fun little toy, definitely worth getting. If you have an office building that's big, flying in the atrium would be glorious. And you wouldn't have to modify it if you had a bigger room than this. This is, how wide is this? 20 by, I don't know, 18 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It's not humongous, but it's a big airspace, and that's part of the reason why we designed it this way, is because we wanted to be able to fly aircraft in here. And yes, you did just hear that right. We designed our house around my habit.
But then I picked pretty light fixtures and I screwed it up.
That I run into a million times. So anyway, guys, without further ado, just look in the description. It's really fun. You might want to get one for yourself, and you'll enjoy it. I promise.